Hello, everyone. MTL Sports Podcast. We're on episode 76 today. For today's episode, we're going to continue our season review of the NFL divisions. We're still in the AFC. So today we're going to tackle the AFC West. A lot of news came out the AFC West today, so we'll probably go over that. Plus, we'll break down the division. And then if time permits, we're going to knock out some rapid fire. So with all that being said, stay tuned. All right, everyone, AFC West. We're going to go over the seasons of each of these four teams, review them. And, of course, just like last week, we got some questions that, get answered. Number one, who's the best team in the division? Number two, how does the division stack up against the other divisions in the AFC? And then we'll see how they stack up against some of the NFC divisions. So let's start with the news. Probably the biggest news of the day. Russ Wilson officially is cut from the Broncos. So he's taking home $38 million, but I think the dead cap hit is like, what, 86 or something like that?
85.
Right? 85. So Broncos, just purchased by the Waltons, the people who own Walmart a few years back. These people are billionaires. $86 million isn't going to hurt them. Any other reactions we got?
Nah.
All right, so with that being said, there's one less prominent quarterback in that already pretty stacked quarterback, or what we thought was stacked quarterback division. So let's move on. Let's start with the best team. Obviously, it's probably the Chiefs. They won the Super Bowl, so they're the best team. But who do you think is the second best team in the division? Since we already know the first best.
I think it's easy to probably just go with I'm going to go with the Broncos as the second best. A lot of me wants to say the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers are going to be that one team this year. They got a lot of hope and they got a lot of promise with the new coach. I think the only problem with the new coach is the lack of available cap. The force nature in which they're going to get rid of like almost half of one side of the lineup in order to move forward on either side of the lineup. They're probably not going to keep Joey Bosa. So where's your strong edge rush going to come from? Khalil Mack has just been kind of eating up money there as well. The production has been hit and miss. They do want to beef up offense. Probably in the draft, since this is probably one of the first times they're picking lower in the draft. If I was them, I'd go O-line because, come on, if you think Herbert's a franchise guy, we need him to get protected like a franchise guy. They got some pieces amongst their offense that can help them. I think the main problem is none of those offensive pieces work when Herbert goes down halfway through the season because he's getting banged up every play. So I think you also have to think future moving forward in this one because Keenan Allen is probably got 1 to 2 more high-powered, awesome years before he needs to become like a second thought or, less of thought in the offense. And their other wide receivers just can't stay healthy. So that's the only problem I have with the Chargers is there's just a lot of question marks for a first-year coach. We saw the hype about Sean Payton coming in last year, in which he did some things towards the end, which was exciting. Given if he had another year like he will this year, I think he'll be able to make some moves. He's going to bring in the quarterback he wants. We saw his offense have a rhythm at one point last season. The defense really kind of got on their own level after the first couple games. So I'm just going to go all in all. I'm going to say the Broncos. But if we're talking about the most prosperous future amongst this division, it's definitely got to be the Chargers. And I do like the Raiders pick up at their coach. I still don't think it gets them over the hump to make a playoff run. I think they're also the team that has a lot of pieces that are going to be missing coming up next year. And they have big tool guys to build around. Okay, Devontae Adams, defense stepped up hard. Max Crosby can get to the quarterback whenever you need him to. But in reality, I think it's going to be that main problem of you got a lot of pieces you need to fill. Chargers have a lot of pieces you need to figure out. Broncos, it's really just quarterback. And if we think Sean Payton is who he is, he's supposed to have an answer for that. Whether that means giving up all his picks in order to move up, but he's supposed to be able to know how to get that quarterback.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to add anything to what you said. All good stuff there. So let's go ahead and review these seasons, starting with the Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, a little piggyback off of the Chiefs having a Super Bowl winning season, but we didn't talk about this, but the NFLPA released like the second year of like the team report cards. The Chiefs were last behind, it was the Chiefs and then the Commanders were 31. So, they keep winning Super Bowls, but in terms of just playing for them, it's pretty terrible. It seems what the players think. So we'll talk about that. Plus, in terms of just where the Chiefs are at, some things they got to look forward to this offseason. Do they keep Chris Jones? Do they keep Snead? Which one are they going to tag? Which one are they going to try and negotiate with or maybe trade or let go? They got to find an answer to wideout. Number one, they really don't have one, and Rice is still young. We don't really know if he can be that guy. And hey, some more news broke today. Jason Kelce is officially retired. So that means, hey, how many more years does Travis have? How many more years he's going to commit to? So there's stuff to think about. And so with that being said, Lawrence, start with the NFLPA grade on the Chiefs, and then I guess move on to some of those other things I just said.
I mean, the NFLPA grade, I have questions on the NFLPA grade. And mainly the questions stem from the fact that, they rated the Chiefs having the worst owner in the NFL. They gave him an F. F. But they gave Carolina's owner, David Tepper, a D. So I don't understand that. I believe that is false information. Maybe the NFLPA is just doesn't know everything they got.
These are surveys straight from the player, so it's probably just maybe he gets a D because he gets certain players.
Yeah, because Bryce Young got drafted the first overall. I mean, that's cool and all, but regardless, I don't know. I'm not really sold on that, but you can take the sell on. They say the practice facilities are the worst. They think the dining hall is the worst. All these different things come into mind, but honestly, who cares? They're winning, so you can be last, but you can also be first.
But I would disagree because they're winning him chips and he's not improving anything. I'm pretty sure they were bad last year too.
If you're winning, you winning. Nothing matters when you win it. Moving forward with the team, though, I think the O-line is going to need a little help. If you especially want to make another run like that, there's got to be a point in which Mahomes gets hurt. There always is for every quarterback. None of them can last every single game, every single season forever. He's got a little bit of an ankle problem every once in a while, but for the most part, he's been able to stay super healthy. And I'll say it again, there's got to be that time in which he's going to get hurt. And I think they keep trying to bolster their O-line to prove that they are trying. But you brought a left tackle to play right tackle, and it didn't work all season. He was getting the benefit of the doubt half the times when he would do like drop back, he would 3-step back. Half the time it was a false start. He was constantly holding all season, and it just didn't matter. So, moving forward, I think the O-line has got to be one of the biggest things that they try to push at.
They took a big step back. OBJ left, went to Cincinnati. They picked up Jawan Taylor. He's been pretty bad. Where did he come from before? Jacksonville, right?
He was in Jacksonville, but he was a left tackle. So he had to play opposite side of the line, which maybe his footwork's not all there. Maybe it's not all. I don't know how that works because I've not obviously worked in it. But you do left side of your whole, growing up, all college. He was a left tackle. All in the NFL, he's a left tackle. So then you bring him in to be a right tackle, doesn't make much sense. And it never felt like he was ever at home being a right tackle. Maybe there was foreshadowing that the left tackle would leave. I don't know, but my thought process, it didn't work.
No,
but now you might be able to still get money for him, mainly because you just want a Super Bowl with him, so he's got value. And maybe I just need to go invest in a good right tackle. And they're saying that this is one of the most deep offensive line classes in the draft since I think 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, and the Chiefs like to do everything cheap, Jawan Taylor's not cheap for what he's providing you, which is a lot of penalties. Maybe you go get a good right tackle and try to get some value for this guy who, he does have value at left tackle. He has a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was the opposite, right? Because he went to right. OBJ was right, but he wanted to play left because his dad was a left tackle. So that's a little interesting, right? A little foreshadowing, maybe, like you said. So what about Chris Jones, Snead, and then this wideout situation? How do they fix that?
Fixing it, wideout is gonna try to get fixed again in the draft. That's what they're gonna do. Yeah, oops, Sky Moore was a bust. Okay, that's not that bad. We'll just draft either first round, late first, early, maybe late second, because they said that this wide receiver draft class is deep as can be.
Yep.
You'd kind of just have to say, well, look, Rice was a good choice. He was a good draft. You can offer a pretty decent wide receiver, minimum money, not max money, but, pretty mid money. He's still going to come because he's going to get the ball thrown to him by Patrick Mahomes, especially that wide receiver who we're not naming, but we're stating would go somewhere. If his options are to play with, two bums or the Chiefs, and that was the only thing people giving him options, money is relatively all the same, he's gonna go to the Chiefs. I mean, I wouldn't see why you wouldn't. As for really the back end, I think we do know by now they only ever draft defensive backs. They don't ever go out of their way to try to recruit them. I think the big thing from their whole Super Bowl run has been Chris Jones, so I think they're probably going to try to keep Chris Jones. I would. He was the most integral part of multiple things going their way in the Super Bowl. I mean, it was his hit that everyone kept making fun of, Brock Purdy for not making that pass. But you can't really make fun of Brock Purdy for not making that pass because, Chris Jones pushed them all into the lap, pushed the offensive line all into the lap of Brock Purdy. So how's he going to make the pass?
Yeah, this is all true. I think it's probably best. Chris Jones is going to cost a lot of money, but this owner's going to have to, I think it's Hunt. Hunt's the owner. He's going to pony up some money, pay this guy. Snead, you might just have to, you're going to have to tag him because it's cheaper than tagging Jones. You have to tag him and then either trade him or just do like Jesse Bates, Cincinnati did, just make him play on the tag and then just get one more year out of him. And yeah, they cut MVS, so they definitely need a kind of a speedster guy, a guy that can go out and get deep, get behind the defense, get behind the safety. This receiver class is pretty deep, so depending on how things fall, they definitely can either use their first rounder on a lineman or maybe one of these receivers drops into the late first, early second, and they can make a move there. So I'm not too worried about the Chiefs, barring a Pat Mahomes injury or something crazy like that. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the Broncos. All right, the Broncos, like I said, just cut Russ. Dead cap hit of $85 million. He's leaving with $38 million this year, so he will find a new home. There's a couple teams that could use a starting quarterback, but other than that, the Broncos were in a decent position. They were probably ahead of schedule. Sean Payton definitely turned this thing around, but without a solidified quarterback, they definitely have some question marks. So, what do you think? How do you think they approach the quarterback? Do they go and draft one? Do they go find some money and go get a Kirk, or maybe trade for Justin Fields? Question mark.
No, I think you just draft one. That's the best option, I think. There's too many of the good ones at the top. You're not that far away from getting to the top with some trades. You're going to have to give up picks to get picks. You're going to have to give up things. Like, you can move into the 4 spot, and there's still guys available. I think Bo Nix is slept on. I think Penix is slept on. As long as you don't draft J.J. McCarthy, I think you're all right. Because you saw him in those drills. He did not look good at all. I think the most important thing for this team, honestly, the wide receiver class is stacked, and the quarterbacks are pretty good. Maybe to move up in the draft, you get rid of a wide receiver. No offense, I don't think Judy is all that good. I don't think he's number one material. I don't know if Courtland Sutton is either, but at least Courtland Sutton acts like it half the time. Tim Patrick is never healthy. It's a good experiment that was tried. It does not work. He does not stay healthy more than 3 games at max, if he even starts the season. Marvin Mims Jr. is a good speedster, so you have that. But honestly, to trade a wide receiver and your first, to move up to get a new first, and then on top of that, you get a second round wide receiver who you think can become a day one starter. And then you move forward from there, because the O-line is not bad. The O-line it did its job. Hopefully it can hold up. And defensively, after that, all you really need is an edge rusher.
Yeah, I agree. Defense is solid, especially the secondary. I think they're pretty good there. Wideouts definitely could use a bump. I think these two guys that kind of cancel each other out, Sutton and Judy, they both trying to be number ones. Neither really are number one, so it's kind of giving off diva, mentality. So, they should clear the room, like you said. Use one of them to get another pick and try to move up in the draft. Running back, I would probably get some reassurances. P. Ryan didn't really translate from Cincinnati to Denver. Javonte Williams coming back off ACL. Usually your first year back, it doesn't really go well. So I would find an assurance policy there. McLaughlin, I don't know if he played well last season. But I know P. Ryan was not really his success in Cincinnati didn't translate. So I would probably look in the draft, maybe late second, third, even in the 4th round, see if you can get you a sneaky good running back. Because I haven't heard much about the running backs coming out this year, but I'm sure they can find a nice little running back in the 3rd or 4th. So that's what I would do.
It feels like this team is kind of built for a little bit of a power back. A little bit powerful, run up the middle kind of back. Especially that'll kind of allow. I think there's always wide receiving backs coming out of the draft. I think there's always wide receiving backs in the league that move around constantly that you can always implement into your system. I think the biggest thing that they've seen so far in the combine and everything with the running backs coming out of this draft is they're really powerful. Honestly, moving for one of those would probably be a good move.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Enough about the Broncos. Let's move to the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, y'all. Raiders had a coaching change last season, about a couple games in. Got rid of Josh McDaniels. He's just not made to be a head coach. 2 failures. But they also pretty much moved on from Jimmy G. I don't think he's coming back, right?
Not the suspension, no. But for this team, how do you think they move forward? What is the weak chain of their team?
Well, I think they definitely got to fix the quarterback, and then they got to find out what they're going to do with Jacobs. Are they going to tag Jacobs for a second year? I think his cap number will go up if he's tagged the second year, right? So you gotta find out what you're going to do there. You got to find out what you got to do at quarterback, because are you going to draft a young kid? Are you going to bring a vet in? And just like you did last year, you see last year didn't go well. So do you try it again, or do you draft a young kid and kind of let him compete with Aiden O'Connell, who didn't play bad but didn't really play good, And then if you're going to draft a young guy, you got to figure out what you're going to do with Devontae. I feel like Devontae at this stage in his career shouldn't be on a fringe contender or a rebuilding team. He still has value. Still played really good last year. All right, if you're not going to bring in a veteran, or if you're not going to, I guess, move up to get one of the top quarterbacks, if you're not going to move up to get a Daniels or a Drake May or someone like that, you might want to look at moving him. And I mean, you can probably get a second and a third for Devontae.
100%, you can get a second for him. I mean, you package a pick in it, like, okay, you get Devontae Adams and a third, you can probably get a first round pick.
Yeah. And hey, one of these contenders, maybe the Chiefs do it. I mean, they are cheap, but I think if Pat Mahomes says, "Hey, I want Devontae Adams," they probably gonna get Devontae Adams. Now, they probably won't bring back Snead, and it might cost you Chris Jones, but they would probably do it. Or even like who else could use? I don't know, French contenders. The Browns, or maybe the Eagles, if the whole AJ Brown thing, he's being really diva, rumors in the locker room, he's hard to get along with, hard to work with. Maybe they do a little swap there. I don't know. These are just things I'm throwing out, but
a good one also is like the Giants. I think Devontae Adams would love to go to the Giants, a big market like that. What better place can Devontae Adams go?
Or does he go play with Aaron Rodgers for, Aaron's last year or two?
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, send me back I want to go play with my guy, That's a possibility.
Then you can just kick Lazard right off the door. I got the better wide receiver from Green Bay.
Hey, Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, I think that would be the best. That might be the best duo.
As long as Zach Wilson's not throwing it up to him, I think that would be a good idea. I guarantee you with that'd be a grand idea. As long as Zach Wilson's not the one throwing it up to him.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where I would go. The defense. I think AP has the defense playing better. I don't see any holes in the defense per se, but they always could get deeper. I think their biggest thing was I think linebacker could use probably some upgrading, if anything. But I think secondary, you got Max Crosby coming off the edge. D-line's pretty solid. So if anything, probably the linebacking core. What about you? How do we think they proceed? Do they rebuild or retool, or are we going to go for it?
I think honestly, I think you have to buy into the coach. I think you got to buy into the coach being good. Because what we saw last year, what he was able to do with missing pieces, the kind of guys that abandoned on the team. I forget the cornerback. Was it Humphrey?
I forgot.
I don't remember what the cornerback was that bailed on the team pretty much. Was it Marcus Peters? It's one of the two. You basically bailed on the team. He felt like he was no longer valued as much as he should be there, but he still was able to make things work with those pieces. Honestly, if you just let him, have a year to pick his team, which he wants, build it the way he wants, I think that's all that matters. And I'm pretty confident he's going to go with the philosophy of we need a quarterback. So and my O-line isn't amazing, but it's not bad. So let me go get a quarterback early. That's why I said like trading up Devontae Adams and getting a third for a first. You can easily get him another wide receiver right off the rip. I don't know wide receivers names like that are just waiting there, but like Neighbors, he should be available. He seems to be really good. And then I don't know, maybe do you like the toughness of Daniels? You can kind of do what Cincinnati did with having 2 LSU talents, and see if it translates the same way. Who knows what they're going to want to do, but I mean, that's just a philosophy in which you can put. And you get another first for Devontae. And then after that, I think really after that, all you got to do is find a good running back, but you don't have to overspend for a running back. You can find running backs. You don't have to have Josh Jacobs to destroy your kind of your bankroll, because honestly, you don't want an awesome, high tier running back when you're first starting to rebuild. And high tier running backs, they don't want to be there for the rebuild. And I think the Raiders are still like 2 years away. So, do we think Josh Jacobs wants to hang around for 2 years? Of maybe in 2 years this team will be good for me, but at that point I'm going to be the second running back. I'm no longer going to be the first.
Yeah, I think at that point he probably will want to leave. So we'll see. I don't think they'll tag him, but at that point, like you said, does he want to maybe take a little bit less and stay for 2 or 3 years and then go through this rebuild, or does he want to go play for, I don't know, the Vikings, or does he want to go play for, I don't know, a contender or like fringe contender? Because the Raiders, like you said, if they let AP build his team, he's probably going to build it his way. So they definitely going to be rebuilding, because, I mean, it's probably a slim chance they make the playoffs. So it's a tough call for Josh Jacobs. It's honestly tough.
I think the best is to get out of there.
Yeah. I think him and Devontae probably should not, amicably, get out of there, but it might take some ugliness to get out. But I guess we'll see in all due time. Last team in the AFC West, y'all. We got the Chargers. Now they just got the new head coach. What's his name? Brandon Staley. He left. He's an offensive coordinator for someone, right? He just got a job. I forgot.
I think he was a defensive coordinator.
Oh, isn't he on the 49ers now? I think he's on the 49ers on their coaching staff.
I haven't paid attention to coach talk like that. I don't really care. I don't really get into this until around draft time, see where everything's at. But I mean, look at that first thing when you see starters for the Chargers. It's just all of them are hurt. That's just the Chargers every season. That's what they are every season.
So Coach Harbaugh already said like he wants guys that are there to win for the right reasons and who going to work hard. And he doesn't play no BS, man. You got to be there for the right reasons. And if you're not, he's gonna send you. He's gonna send you on your merry way. This guy doesn't play around. He's had success both in college and the NFL. Not to be trifled with. So, like you alluded to earlier, some of these guys are gonna be gone. So, who do you think are gonna be the casualties? Because their cap is pretty fucked up, to say the least. They got to clear a lot of money. Who do you think the casualties will be?
Well, I can tell you one who I think won't be one is Joey Bosa. I think based on the philosophy of Harbaugh, he's going to want that Bosa rush off the side. You can just say with Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, that might just be his little older aged Aiden Hutchinson before he gets one of his own that he drafts. He might just have to use him for a little bit. I think the main thing he's going to have to do here is he's going to have to figure out wide receiver. I think you're going to have to trade Mike Williams. He's constantly hurt. I mean, it just doesn't work how hurt he is all the time. Joshua Palmer, that third guy is supposed to be in there. He's always hurt. So Keenan Allen, I mean, he's just getting older, so he's just going to get more hurt. And he's had his injury problems in the past. So at this point in time, you are moving on from the guys who are constantly hurt. I need guys that are going to be constantly in the game. Because if I want Herbert to survive, I need him to have someone to throw to, and I need to have someone to protect.
Yeah, you're right. So NFL.com has these four. I think you named all of them. Yeah, I think Mike is probably the one that has to go first. I think Mike is just hurt too much, way too often. I know Keenan Allen gets hurt, but most of the time he'll play through it. I feel like when Mike Williams gets hurt, you don't see the guy. Like he's just fine with taking his money and just rehabbing. So I think he needs to go. I think you're right, Joey Bosa. You just need someone off the edge to get pressure on the quarterback, so he probably stays. Khalil Mack, he's the tricky one. If I really don't know what they're gonna do with him.
Well, see, my thing with Mack is he just posted a career high, which means he now has value, and the kind of value I think he kind of has is like that Roquan Smith kind of value that the Ravens thought they would get out of him. There's definitely another team around the league that thinks that they can get that same value out of Khalil Mack.
That same value, yeah.
Because he's coming off his career year. You can think of it the same way the Bills went out. They got Von Miller. Von Miller was getting older. He didn't have a career year, but he showed that he still had promise in his older age. And then, unfortunately, the year they got him, he got hurt. So they had to live with that one a little bit that they probably did not want to have to live with.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a tough call. He probably stays probably for the trade value, and then you can probably keep him until the trade deadline, and then I don't know, see where you go from there. Maybe I don't know, but in terms of other roster construction, they got their quarterback. Austin Eckler is probably gone, right? I don't think he's gonna come back. They'll probably let him hit the free market. He really didn't perform all that. I mean, he performed well, but I mean, nothing that they can't replace, right?
No, I mean, I think they've been brewing Joshua Kelly to replace him anyways. I think they're just going to try to get I mean, honestly, the team needs a power guy. Like we say it all the time. Like the power back is kind of a forgotten art a little bit. But you see this. They have 4 running backs to do the same thing. It's the best way to put it. You have 4 running backs to do the exact same thing. I'm pretty sure Harbaugh is not going to have that same philosophy. He's going to want to have a guy that can pound it out the middle a little bit. And honestly, his running back that was at Michigan is going to be coming out in the draft this year. He's probably not going to be a high targeted running back because they almost never are. He might be a 5th round back that he can pick up and do the job that he knows he can do.
Yeah, that's a very fair statement right there. And then honestly, they probably gotta draft another receiver. Joshua Palmer, right? The kid out of TCU really didn't show promise last year. And Mike Williams is probably gone. Or no, it's Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson. Yeah. He really didn't show a lot of promise. So you probably gotta go out and get another wideout in there. Probably not first round, because you probably need to go get you a defensive player. But probably second round, you go get you a wideout.
Well, there's supposed to be lots of wide receivers out there, so they should be able to get someone.
Yeah, there's always someone for somebody. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all. I mean, the Chargers, they got their coach. That was their kind of off-season free agency. Was finding the right coach because the pieces, for the most part, were there. It was just a matter of the guy that's going to be able to kind of put all the ingredients and bake the pie correctly instead of having an idiot behind the scenes. So shout out to them. Where do we rank this division in terms of overall? Are they I think we put the AFC North the best division in the AFC. How do we feel about the AFC West? Are they second, third, fourth?
I give them third.
Nice.
I can only see max two teams coming out of this conference, this division. So that's why I'm gonna have to go third. I just feel like the other conferences in the AFC can easily get more. I think the AFC East, they can get 2 or 3 if all things go right. The AFC North, you can see 2 to 3 coming out of there. AFC South, that's one of those teams that I believe it only gets 2. That max, you can only get 2. I truly believe the AFC South only gets 1, though. I'm confident in saying I think 1 is all they can get.
Yeah. I'm agree with you. Probably third. South is tricky because I think this was a weird year. I think the Colts probably overperformed, so they probably fall back to normal, depending on Anthony Richardson.
I mean, we're not going to get it today because the AFC South is going to be for the next time around. But in my true opinion, I think the easiest route for the AFC South is the Jaguars. I think the Texans did almost nothing but hurt themselves going super hot year one into this build because now you're just going to play all the number one teams. So now you're going to have hard-fought battles week in and week out. And honestly, for the Jags, there are some teams that finish second in which they can pick on. The Raiders. I feel like the Raiders are a team they may not be able to pick on. The Browns, determining how Deshaun Watson comes back. We haven't seen this man really perform. He might have that syndrome of which he likes to get paid, whether he's hurt or not. And Dolphins, well, the Dolphins, they just don't know how to be good teams. So,
yeah. Something we can get into once we finish the AFC for sure. So that's the AFC West, guys. We are out of time though, so we will not be getting into rapid fire. But I think Ari shared Jason Kelsey. He is retiring. And Mike Evans, he signed 2 years, $52 million. Here it is. 2 years, $52 million. I think $37 million is guaranteed. So good for him staying with the Bucs. Deserves to retire with the Bucs. What are your thoughts on Mike Evans, really quick?
I think it's a great idea. Mike Evans should never leave. He definitely should be Buck for life.
Yeah. Didn't you think he was going to, if anything, you thought he was going to go to Carolina, right? Because isn't he from Carolina or something like that?
He's from the area, but my opinion, I never thought Mike Evans was going to go to Carolina. I thought it was going to be a bad move for him if he did. Yeah. You can see if Bryce Young has promise. But my only problem with Mike Evans, he does a lot of awesome routes, but Mike Evans also drops a lot of balls.
Yeah.
So I think what Bryce Young needs at his current moment, I think he needs someone he can grow with, someone he can, develop the chemistry with. My problem with Mike Evans was, if you get him, you're only going to get him for 2 or 3 years max. There's only so much more time he can play. There's only so much he can put up with. So, I think he can put up with a lot more at the Buccaneers than he could at Carolina.
Yeah, fair enough. He has just a few more good years left. So good thing he is staying with the team that drafted him. So shout out to him. I think that's all we got to cover today. Anything else before we head on out?
Honestly, I think we can cover it more next episode, but I'm getting kind of interested in this conference tournament for college basketball. All the little tiny individual tournaments are going to start kicking up. The Atlantic Sun Conference has started today. I think there's going to be a lot of good winners out there. I think there's going to be a lot of good teams that people can hone in on about winning their conference tournaments. I think James Madison is one of those, Virginia teams that we think might have promise winning their conference tournament. Yeah, they're going into the conference tournament as number 2 seed, but they did lose to App State twice this season, and it honestly should be down to them and App State again in the final. And pretty much, it's one of those things. If you let a team beat you 3 times in one season, well, that's just your fault. That's just your fault.
That's just your fault.
You can't let them have the blueprint for you 3 times.
Yeah, you gotta sneak in a win there. Well, that's all. We'll cover that all on a Wednesday, and some more NBA stuff. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But other than that, guys, it's MTL Sports Podcast, episode 76, AFC West season review. Check us out on Twitter, on YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. And with that, we are out. Peace.
the verge.